Today I want to talk about an issue I've been experiencing with my Tamron 17-70 f2.8 when paired with my Sony a6700. That issue is the Tamron's VC, or vibration compensation, or image stabilization within the lens fighting against the IBIS, or internal image stabilization, inside of the Sony a6700. Now, this issue presents itself as something I can only describe as a very shaky and jittery effect when using this lens on a body that has IBIS, or internal image stabilization. And I'm going to overlay some footage of what that looks like on screen so you can see what the footage looks like and how shaky it actually is. So I figured I'd make a video explaining how bad this issue actually is and why I think it's a deal breaker if you plan on picking up this lens to pair it with a Sony APS-C body that has internal image stabilization. So the Sony APS-C lineup, I feel like, has a huge issue that's not really addressed widely on the internet. And that is the pretty bad choices we have for fast, constant aperture zoom lenses. Now, the Tamron 17-70 stands above the rest for having the widest focal range and being, in my opinion, the most versatile of all three of the popular fast, constant aperture zoom lenses for the Sony APS-C lineup. Those lenses include the Sony 16-55 f2.8 G lens, the Sigma 18-50 f2.8, and this Tamron 17-70 f2.8. Another thing that the Tamron has that sets it a little bit above the other lenses, in my opinion, is the image stabilization within the lens. And that is where our problems begin. So I've only really been able to find some anecdotal evidence of this issue presenting itself on other people's models on places like Reddit whenever they're pairing this lens with another Sony APS-C body that has IBIS inside of it, like my Sony a6700 or Sony a6500, for example. So there seems to be some discussion on potential fixes for this issue, but none of them really seem to work for me. The first of which was turning the stabilization within the camera from standard to active stabilization mode, which crops into the image slightly, and people said that it should, in theory, make the shaking go away, but for me, I feel like it didn't really completely remedy the issue. It just made it slightly less noticeable, which to me, it was still pretty unacceptable. Another potential fix that's presented is turning off IBIS completely, which I still don't think this is a really good fix for this issue, because only using the VC within the lens, the footage tends to be very shaky still, because the image stabilization within the lens actually isn't that great to begin with. So you pretty much have to choose between it being mildly shaky, really shaky, or not that shaky but your image punched in. None of these remedies seem to completely get rid of this issue, and as you can see, it's a pretty big problem. For someone like myself who's a 50-50 hybrid shooter, I do about half photo and half video, and the majority of that work is paid work with clients. I feel like I can't really count on this lens to do any commercial video, or even weddings, for instance, where it's pretty easy, I think, for my clients to see how shaky this footage actually is coming out of this lens, and I can't really count on it to get the job done when it comes to paid work. The photo performance of this lens is actually really great, all things considered, and I'm going to be dropping a video on my channel detailing a whole host of other reasons why I actually think this lens is really good for photo work. But if you're a 50-50 hybrid shooter like myself, or if you're a predominantly video shooter, I would steer clear away from this lens for this specific reason. The only caveat to that, I feel like, is if you're someone who doesn't really care about paid work, you're not a professional in the sense that you get paid for doing things with your camera, and you just want to do some content creation or take videos of your family and your dog and stuff around town, this probably isn't going to be a big issue for you. But if you're somebody who uses your camera to make an income or make a living, this probably is not going to be the lens for you if you shoot video. I hope I did a good job explaining the issue that I have with the Tamron 17-70 f2.8. And if you have any questions regarding this issue or not about this lens, I would love to hear about it in the comments so we can get the conversation started. If you haven't seen my videos before, my name is Juan. I'm a photographer and videographer based out of Bury St. Edmunds, England, and my channel has a whole host of my interests concerning photography, videography, video editing, filmmaking, content creation, and a whole host of other things that I'm interested in. So if you have some common interests with me, I'd love for you to come back and watch some more of my videos in the future, or consider subscribing. All right, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Peace.